Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Get the Flick Out of Here, Sans Mustache Edition. Today,
So weird.
it's so weird, isn't it?
It's so weird.
People paid me to shave it down to a Vince McMahon style pencil mustache, and then I kept that for about 12 hours, and then I shaved the caterpillar off my face. So it'll grow back. I keep telling myself. But until then, sporting the A blinking, and we're just going to go through it. It is ironic, though, because we are reviewing today. I am Alex Pawlowski. With me, as always, is Kate Elizabeth. We are reviewing today a movie in where mustaches are paramount. It is kind of ironic
from an era where mustaches are paramount.
Well, not even that.
It's a double. Like,
if somebody says to you, what is one of the most iconic visual aspects of the character of Super Mario?
Oh yeah,
mustache is probably at the top of the list.
Yeah,
mustache, overalls. I think that's pretty much it. Actually, we are reviewing in honor of the fact that this week is the debut of the brand new animated Super Mario film. We are reviewing the original, which came out in 1993, which was live action and also not a Super Mario Brothers movie. No, not at all. It barely qualifies. Listen, if you made this movie and changed all the characters' names, then there's no way that you would ever know that it was about Mario.
So one fun fact about my viewing experience with this. I'm not like, I of course know Mario. I'm not like a super video game person.
Right.
But Alex, as you know from doing your Red Dead Redemption streams, if I have a peek into a world, I then have to like find out a lot of things about it. So the Easter eggs that were initially like lost on me, I had to go back and look up. And the other thing is, I had not seen this movie. I knew very little about this movie. The only thing I knew about this movie was that John Leguizamo was a baby, and when it came out, and everyone had told me it was really bad, and only one person had kind of mentioned like the way in which it was bad. Like, I actually know someone who said they kind of like it as its own sci-fi film, but they didn't like it as a Super Mario film, which is kind of what you were saying. Like, this is not a Mario Brothers film at all, which is disappointing as a viewer.
Which you would not know like how disappointed myself at 12 and my brother at 8.5 were when my father took us to see this movie. Like, we were,
of course.
Like, I was like, Dad, when's it gonna be a Mario movie? And he was like, I don't know.
And like, let's also keep in mind, like 1993, you didn't have social media where you were immediately finding out the second it was released about anything. Like, you did not know the extent from.
It's Memorial Day weekend of 1993. I'm sure my dad took me and my brother to see this on the Saturday, the day after it came out. Like, my friends hadn't seen it yet because it came out the day before, after we got out of school. So nobody would have told me, oh yeah, this wasn't, I don't know what this is, you know? It's got the guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit in it. And that's it. Like, there was nobody else that we would have known. There was no big stars.
Not at that time.
For kids.
Yeah.
At that time, no kid knew who the hell Dennis Hopper was. Speed hadn't come out yet. Even if it had, you probably shouldn't have watched it yet if you were 10. So like,
and even so, like, even if your friends had seen it the night before, there wasn't texting in 1990.
No, yeah, exactly.
Like,
well, like,
someone would have had
nobody
to
got on the phone like, hey,
call
can
your
I speak?
phone. Hope you didn't get a busy signal just to tell you how bad the movie was. So like that's also putting it into the perspective of like the delayed disappointment that must have come from the people watching it.
It was just like, what is this? it is widely reviled. There is a bit of a cult following for it, but as I said, cults are usually bad for a reason.
There's also just like as we're doing these, Alex, I gotta be honest, I'm getting sick of these like cult classic people, because there's some like Velocipaster deserves it because they set out to make a bad movie and accidentally by making a bad movie made made an entertaining film.
Yes, agreed.
The ironically liking stuff, I'm over it. It's gotta go. Like, you just have to admit some of these movies are bad.
Yeah.
Like Big Trouble in Little China was better than this, but it does not deserve the praise that it had gotten.
Right. Yeah.
I liked it better than you, but I was like, it wasn't a good movie. So like cult classics, you as cult classicers, as culters, as cult followers, you need to delineate between I'm signing up for this ironically as a good time, and this is a hidden gem that I don't know how it slid by, not on the radar, whatever.
Can you imagine if actual cults were like, I'm signing up for this ironically as a good time?
They need...
Yeah, this is hilarious. I'm drinking Kool-Aid. Can you imagine? Oh, anyway. Like, that
and they have like
horrible.
Very serious discussions about it too. Of like, I think what they were, what the cult leader meant to say was like what he was really saying with this.
So
there needs to be
apparently there's going to be a comet that comes and we're all going to jump on it and ride off into meet Lord Xenu. Won't that be hilarious? Yeah, no. So,
there needs to be like cultgrader.com, which somebody judges.
Somebody sure should make
somebody rates like what categories these fall into, because I gotta tell you, there was some love for this movie when I went to seek out the stuff that I didn't know, like when it is a lot of it is unfounded.
Oh yeah,
you just liked the year 1993. You liked being 12 is what you liked.
Yes. Oh no, like I mean, listen though, you like my friends who also watched the film, like everyone came to school on the Tuesday after Memorial Day and like, hey, that Mario Brothers movie sucked. And here's the thing, also, like 2 weeks later, Jurassic Park came out, and ain't nobody was talking about Mario Brothers anymore.
Was there a 2-week difference?
It was like that's it. Like it was 93 was like a really good summer for movies, you know, for kids who were preteens.
Immediately we have to address like 1990 through 1993, some of the best music that was ever produced, and B, the most dinosaur intensive cinematic period of all time. I think.
No, we loved our dinos back then.
It was so much Theodore Rex. We had this. Jurassic Park was 2 weeks later.
Yep. So somebody took some basic ideas of the Mario lore and threw it into a weird like what if we combined a beloved children's video game in which Italian plumbers visit a magical land of mushrooms and dinosaurs to rescue a princess. What if we combine that with Blade Runner? Somebody pitched that, and somebody said, "Here's money, go make it."
Millions of dollars.
And so that's what we got. The movie starts with, now I think they removed this from the Blu-ray version actually, but the movie on the earlier version has a weird animated thing. Did you see this of what happened with the dinosaurs? Like it says Brooklyn 65 million years ago, and there's a narrator who we never hear from again.
No.
Who says back then the dinosaurs ruled the earth and nobody was around to give them any grief. Well, I mean, no humans were around at all, so that's right. Anyway, the dinosaurs, they ruled the earth, and then there was a meteorite.
This part was animated.
Yep. Yeah, this part was animated.
This wasn't an adequate swerve into what we were getting.
Yeah. But he goes, then there was a meteorite that came and hit, and boom, no more dinosaurs. But what if and this is great, when you have to put in a weird narrator who does a "but what if" to describe the plot of your movie, just start over from scratch. If that's how it does, don't do that. But what if the dinosaurs didn't get killed? What if they were blasted into an alternate dimension where they evolved into fully evolved beings, but instead of monkeys as ancestors, they had lizards? What if that actually happened? And what if there was a way for them to merge the dimensions back together again? And what if that was the movie we made and you gotta watch it? Like,
this was absolutely done. I'm convinced they did the movie, realized it was terrible, and then they were like, we're going to create an animated intro where we describe the plot of the movie.
But it was also like animated like MS Paint. Like it was like not good animation. Like it wasn't like, you know, like years before this, Land Before Time came out. That was animated dinosaurs. This looked like somebody did it on their Commodore 64.
Correct.
So,
which is now knowing Jurassic Park came out 2 weeks later is even all the more hilarious.
So funny.
Because what a groundbreaking movie.
By paying attention to the end credits, I found out the narrator of this little spot was the voice was provided by Dan Castellaneta, who is the voice of Homer Simpson. So, and this is 93. So he was like season 4 of The Simpsons, because that started in 1989, is some classic stuff. So he was already like an incredibly well-known, on a hugely successful thing, but they never promote him as being a part of it because they did this thing after the fact and said, hey, let's find a good voiceover guy.
Because he issued a gag order and didn't want to be associated.
And they're like, I don't want to be heard. Like, actually, his name is misspelled with 2 T's instead of 1. Dan Castellaneta, TTA instead of 1 TA. And so maybe he said, let's put in 2 T's so nobody can Google my name and find this.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, Google.
He knew in 5 years people were going to be
Google was coming in 1983. He knew Google was coming. But so then we see it says Brooklyn 65 million, Brooklyn 20 years ago, right? And there's a woman who's got a bassinet she's carrying with her little basket. She leaves it on the floor on the stoop of a church and runs away. And then she goes down into a sewer where she's goes off in this little offshoot tunnel of a major subway line, and there she is accosted by Dennis Hopper wearing a general's outfit. Like if you watch he never again wears this. So they never specifically tell you what happens when King Koopa, also known as Bowser in the games, played by Dennis Hopper, Oscar winner Dennis Hopper. They never tell you exactly how, but we are supposed to, I think, piece together that he led a military coup against the rightful king of Mushroom Land, because he is wearing a full 4-star generals with all the little patches on the thing, and he accosts this poor woman and drags her back to their dimension. And
I do have to clarify up front, from my viewing experience, this is not widely accessible, and so
no.
I watched it in a way that is best accomplished with the VPN. When I tell you that I thought somebody had because this was not a link. This was not. I wasn't going to Tubi for this.
No.
I was like, is this a joke? Is this not the movie that I signed up to watch? When I saw a dinosaur intro, I was like, it says Super Mario Brothers movie. And then this intro, I was like, I'm still not convinced this is I understand the sewer. I'm still not convinced that I'm actually watching the movie. If you go to a movie and you are like, am I in the right theater? Yeah, it was that as a viewing experience at home, because in no way did what they set up pertain to Super Mario Brothers.
Right. So that's one half of the prelude. The other half is that nuns open the door of this church and find the basket on their door, which is a thing, like is a trope. The baby is abandoned at a church where nuns will raise it is a thing that goes back hundreds of years, right? So this is a thing. But they take the basket in and they pull off the little blanket, and it's a metal sarcophagus thing with like a little shard of glowing rock that's placed in it. And when they take it out, the thing opens up, and on the inside is a huge egg, like a dinosaur egg, right? And the nuns go, oh, and they pick it up out of there and they set it down, and they're like, oh yes, we're nuns. And then
that is verbatim, by the way. They say, yes, we're nuns.
They don't have any lines. They didn't give these women lines.
No, all under fives.
Nope.
Nothing.
No lines for these nuns. The egg starts to hatch, and from within the egg, you hear the sound of a baby crying. And
again,
then,
not creating clarity that I was watching the right movie at all.
The next shot, the egg starts to hatch. You hear the sound of a baby crying. It goes to the head old nun who does this. Next shot, baby, like full 7-month-old baby, because they don't use newborns in movies, covered in amniotic fluid, sitting there, no umbilical cord. This baby
this was born, a piece of the aggro crag. So
this baby is born from an egg, and none of the nuns immediately set fire to it because it is the Antichrist. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
They behave as though this is the most normal thing in the world to them, that a human baby has emerged from a giant egg that was encased in a metal sarcophagus that was left on their doorstep. This is for Catholic nuns. Do you not think they would be like a little bit more like, this is the devil? The devil is now here among us.
Or even just like a little bit more, if not.
How about just
like suspicious?
Weird it out slightly.
Just like,
you know, like, hey, this is a non-everyday occurrence for us.
Abnormal. Yeah, this was a disproportionate response.
Sister Mary Jean, you don't see this every day. No, Sister Mary Catherine, you certainly don't. Anyway, let's move on with our lives. Is it just like? Also, cut to present day, when we meet
present day 1993.
Well, present day 1993, when 20 years later, they say 20 years later. So this 20 years later, when we meet the girl who was in the egg, who's all grown up now, there's no indication any of the nuns ever told her that she came out of an egg.
No.
She has no idea of this. Nope. The nuns took it to their grave. You know, like
it's like when do we tell a kid she's adopted? It's like, when do we tell a kid that she was born from an egg that was in a metal trap with the piece of aggro?
This is going to be a shock. And listen, we're here with to answer any questions you may have. We can put you in touch with a counselor if you need to, you know, but you were born from an egg. Just imagine being told that at any point in your life.
I mean, my immediate reaction would be like, yeah, and the sperm, and then it was like, no, let me clarify. This egg.
Yes, this one.
Egg.
This one. We kept the shards of it after you broke from it.
But we did not think it was that big of a deal. So
no, we know. We looked around and we're like, this is a thing that happens all the time, right? I mean, we're nuns, so we never had sex with anybody, so we have no idea what this is.
We don't know how it works, yeah. Maybe that's why they were like, well, we don't.
They don't have sex ed in the Catholic schools.
No.
So
I know that's right.
So that's just the beginning of the wackiness. We get
there's so much setup in this movie.
And it's all awkward.
None of it is cohesive.
No, it's all awkward.
It's really weird. It takes so long for anything to start happening, like in a real way.
we get now Mario, played by Bob Hoskins, who again was very familiar to children of that era for being the guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is one I've thought about maybe we should do because it is incredibly weird. It's brilliant, but incredibly weird and definitely not for children. There are so many jokes in there that are not for kids at all, but it was totally marketed to like 10-year-olds and parents who were like, yes, this is something. Oh, there's lots of dick jokes in here. There's lots of dick jokes.
There's a lot of dick jokes in that.
There's a lot of dick jokes in this cartoon. That's odd. But anyway, but I certainly I had seen at this point in my life, I had probably seen Roger Rabbit 15 times, and Hook, which starred Bob Hoskins as Smee, at least that amount as well, which came out in 1991. So he was on a heater for kids of that generation. So cool, he's in this. And I'd never seen John Leguizamo before. Nobody had. He was a child. But I remember thinking, so why did they make Luigi into Mario's son as opposed to Mario's brother? You know, but they're supposed to be brothers, but they're not, because there's one line in one scene that they never bring up again, which we'll talk about. But anyway, Luigi's watching some like tabloid TV show while Mario's on the phone. It's like, no. Yeah, we'll be right there. Don't worry about it. Well, yes, no, leave it to the professionals. We're coming. So it says, hey, Luigi, you know, we got a broken dishwasher at the cafe. You know what that means? We got work. He says, we got work. He says, he's the work. And he says, we're going broke. We need this job. Come on, Luigi, let's go. And they're talking. There's a very quick little mention of there's a bunch of girls from Brooklyn who've been kidnapped recently. But
yeah,
Mario's
they kind of just sold that in there.
Plumbers, we are plumbers. We must do a job. Come on, let's go. And so they get in their van, and they're driving to their job at the whatever cafe. And he says, okay, because Luigi's is a conspiracy type. You got to believe, Mario. You got to believe, which is like supposed to be some kind of like theme that tracks through the entire thing, because Mario's kind of grounded, and why would he believe that he's in another dimension where these human beings evolved from dinosaurs unless he just believes? You got to have faith, thing like that. Anyway, to illustrate that Luigi's point of view is correct, they bend the laws of physics, because Mario's like, all right, we're already late, so here, take the next right to get to the cafe, and Luigi makes a left. And he goes, what are you doing? I told you to take a right. I don't know, Mario. I got a good feeling about this alleyway. Hey, like, but how is this gonna get you? If the thing is this way and you go this way, I don't feel. And also the next thing he does, he takes a right. No, sorry, he takes a left. So go right, he takes a left, and then another left.
And he would have to take another.
He would like,
either a left in a long straight to loop around, or another left and then to make the right you were initially supposed to.
And then they like then he goes then they pull into the parking lot of the cafe. And like, see, I told you I got us here in time. Yeah, sure you did. How though? How did you do that?
Well, the cafe moved across the street.
Then they're getting all their gear to get out of their van, and they see a nicer van, which is Scapelli Plumbing. Ah, no, the Scapellis beat us here. Did the cafe call all the plumbers in the yellow pages and just say whichever one of you gets here first gets the job? Is that the way it used to be? It might have been. I don't
Brooklyn
know.
in the 80s, maybe.
Perhaps it was just a
Or late
weird, like,
70s,
it was like okay, Yellow Pages, plumbers, start calling, and the first one of them that gets here gets paid.
They get the job. Yeah, usually there's like a price quote and a negotiation.
Right. Yeah, no. There's a broken dishwasher at a small cafe. And
like
so
a broken dishwasher, not even a sink. Like,
yeah, no.
It's
sorry.
It's not so crucial. You would just be calling 8 people in the.
This tube was loose. Boop. $400, please. So they say the rent is 3 months overdue at their small apartment above a florist. That the rent's 3 months overdue. They're running out of food. This is a job. They haven't had a job in forever. Maybe don't take a left when you should take a right, and you would have beaten Scapelli there. Mario is not immediately pissed at Luigi for if they lost 45 seconds, they may have lost being able to pay some of their rent off. No, he's not immediately pissed at Luigi. Then we cut to a dig site somewhere in Staten Island. I don't know. I guess everything takes place in Brooklyn, but
yeah, this was like right by the water bridge, I think, right?
Right by the water, yeah. And you get Scapelli. Scapelli not only runs a plumbing business, he is also the Don of New York Mafia.
Yeah. The plumbing business is definitely a mob front. 100%.
Yeah, that's a front. Yeah. That is a front. So he gets out of his limo to go and threaten a dig site, where he's a construction guy and also runs a plumbing business, and also probably runs a sanitation engineering service, and also probably runs a cement shoes operation, and also probably runs a place where it's a hotel but underwater so you can sleep with the fishes.
Yes.
This is the most stereotypically mob guy ever.
His name they make him Scapelli. So sleazy.
And he's got his hair like slicked back so hard, and he's got so much extra hair they have to like fold it around into some weird butt-looking thing in the back of his head. It's disgusting. But anyway, he's like, all right, who's in charge here? And out steps who we know later to be Daisy, who is the girl who was left on the stoop.
She's the egg baby.
She's the egg baby. Egg baby Daisy. So she's 20 years. She's 20 years old. So at max, she's a junior she's an undergrad. She's a junior and undergrad at NYU archaeology school. She's leading the archaeological dig. Like the professor's like, yeah, sure, do whatever the fuck you want. Knock yourselves out. I'm gonna be over here in the teacher's lounge. Like they don't have like a PhD student there or a senior.
Nobody's supervising this.
Or a master's degree student. It's
Brooklyn in the 70s. Might have been.
Who's in charge? She's in charge, she says. I'm in charge here. Like, hey, so how long is this dig gonna go on till my boys come through and finish out the construction? As long as our court order allows, Mr. Scapelli. There's been a lot of
they have like the standoff, and she's like, keep digging. Mm-hmm. Keep digging until I say otherwise, or something like that. She says, like, dramatic.
She says, James, I'm gonna go find a phone and call the university. Keep everyone digging until I get back. And James is like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm only doing this to get college credit. Like, he's not at all like he just took a survey course, and somehow they were like, listen, if a junior is in charge of the dig, they're all going to be freshmen who are just there to try and get a credit to move on with their life. They're all theater majors just trying to get a science credit. Because at NYU, are you kidding me? They're all theater majors.
Tisch School of the Archaeological Dig. That's the.
Anyway, he says to her, he threatens her, like, there's been a lot of girls in Brooklyn going missing these days. It'd be a shame if that would have happened to you. And then she's like, keep digging, James. And James is like, I literally could not care less.
Most authentic acting.
I'm gonna go find a phone again. It's one of those wonderful times before, like, I'm gonna go find a phone requires you to walk 6 blocks to a payphone outside. And
got
that's
a quarter in your shoe and everything.
That was the 90s for you. So she
he also checks her out like uncomfortably, like the most male gay shot in the world.
Like again, like it is all bad guys are rapists. It's just a nice shorthand that all of them, given the chance, given the opportunity, all of them. Yeah. But so she's walking to find a phone at the same time that Mario and Luigi's van is breaking down because the radiator. Mario says to Luigi, I thought I told you to get the radiator fixed. Oh, yeah, I forgot. With what money are you getting the radiator? Or is Luigi, who, as we've seen, has no actual technical expertise at all. He's a plumber's apprentice. Doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
No.
So he's supposed to fix it on his own? Mario, come on. Stop delegating the wrong jobs.
Stop trying to outkick your coverage. This is not good.
So they have to stop to
I also get water. Just realized with the payphone scene, this just like clicked in my head. Does she just know the number of the department? Like,
yes,
I have it written down.
Memorized. Everyone has everything memorized back in the day.
I was smarter then. I'll be honest. Yeah, I knew phone numbers. I knew directions to places before I was going.
I'm fairly certain that at the height of the landline era, when I was old enough to know enough things, let's say the mid-90s, before cell phones became ubiquitous, I probably had upwards of 20 phone numbers memorized.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
Now, like, I remember my sisters and half of my parents, probably.
I know my wife's. I think that's probably it.
Probably, yeah.
So anyway, as she's walking to this payphone, you see one guy walking down the sidewalk, and he gets into he's sniffing 2 hot dogs, and he gets into a car with another guy, and he says, "Here, they say it's dog." Oh, so these guys are wacky, ha ha hoo ha, and like, we gotta find the princess. They're crazy. They are Spike and Iggy. And they are there to kidnap princesses. And we get the idea very quickly that they have been kidnapping the wrong girl from Brooklyn many times over. And that's why all the girls have gone missing in Brooklyn. But they think they may have spotted the right one this time. And so they're following her. And Spike crashes. He bonks his head on a pane of glass that's being moved across the sidewalk in front of him. So he's not able to grab her. And Iggy is very angry with Spike for missing his opportunity to kidnap the princess. But the princess, Luigi is checking the answering machine for messages, which is a wonderful thing that you did in the 90s.
An answering machine is... There was a very sincerely rapid technological shift that if you missed out from 1993 to 1997, there are so many references that are just lost on you. I feel like it's great. It's actually nuts. Like,
what you would do is you would call your own phone number, and then because you're not there, the answering machine would pick up, and you would use the keypad on the payphone. You would punch in a code that you had set, and then it would play to you over the phone the messages that had been left on your answering machine. This was very, in case you were expecting an important call but had to go out, all that stuff. It's really good for something like this, where you are operating a business and you have to leave the shop or wherever you get calls to go and do a job. You can find out if anybody else called. So he's calling to see if anybody had a job. And of course, somebody has called and told them they've got a huge flood down at the Port Authority. Send all the plumbers you got. We have a huge problem here. But he doesn't hear that because the phone is away from his ear because he's just oogling Daisy.
Of course.
And she's like, "Excuse, are you using the phone?" No, I'm not using the phone. You want it? You can have it. And as we hear, hello, we got an emergency here. I'll pay you anything you want. Please just come fix the plumbing. Hang up. So they never got that job call.
They did not.
We get her calling to find more security for this dig site. That's what she wants. And they tell her no, they don't have it in the budget for a undergrad junior led dig site to get more security. I feel probably they don't have it in the budget.
No.
She's very upset by this, but Luigi's obviously in love with her, and so Mario like asks her on behalf of Luigi if she would have dinner that night with these guys, and they say, listen, obviously, we happen to have a van that is now working because I went in and bought a $3 bottle of Evian and just poured it into the radiator, so it's fine now. We can drive you anywhere you'd like. Would you like to get in the van? And then she looks over. I don't know why she suspects anything, but she looks over at the car that has Iggy and Spike on it, and they put up a newspaper to like cover their faces, but I think the newspaper's upside down, which is a decent gag. And she goes, "Yeah, I should take a ride with you. Never, if you think maybe you might be being followed, the rule of thumb is don't get into a stranger's van because that also might not be safe." So, like, I think there's got to be another option. But they give her a ride, I guess, back to the dig site or whatever. The next scene is a dinner date. They have no money. They cannot afford food or to fix their van. They're going to a very nice Italian restaurant with their girls.
Of course.
So Mario has a girlfriend whose name is Daniela, and she works at a tanning salon, and she's incredibly Brooklyn.
She was so much fun.
Yes, she was. She was a lot of fun. I wish they had done more with her. But yeah, so she's very fun. But this is where they're talking about that we think a meteorite landed in Brooklyn 65 million years ago. That's what we're digging for. And we think that is the meteorite that killed all the dinosaurs. And then all of a sudden, Daniela starts talking about going to get a tanning booth, I guess, to do tan. Hey, I'll get you some free tans at the tanning salon, but you probably want to wear something strapless and take this necklace off. Like, it's a weird, like, she only starts talking about tanning so the writers have a reason for her to mention she could just say, "That's a really nice necklace. Where did you get it?" There's no reason to bring up the tanning thing at all, or reach over and start fondling this lady's chest. There's no reason.
Oh my God, my mom had one just like it. Like, there's or
whatever.
So easy to get there.
It's really cool, whatever. But she says, "Oh no, I'd never take it off. Actually, that's the only thing I have left for when I was found. When I was found, I'll take another bite of my pasta." And it was like, "Found?
I'm sorry, hatched."
Yes, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was abandoned. Mm-hmm. Anyway, not about a pasta. Like, no, just like, if you're going to say, if it's the only thing I have left when I was found, assume you're going to have to answer follow-up questions. Don't just take another bite of your endless breadsticks. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta, there's other things you're going to say there. And so she says, I was abandoned. I grew up at Saint whatever it is on whatever is street, and they'll go, "Oh yes, Saint whatever."
Yes, with the nuns.
With the nuns. No mention of being hatched or anything, or looking for her birth parents or any of that. But then Luigi says to her, "So you don't know who your mom and dad was neither?" And she goes, "No, what do you mean neither?" Mario brought me up. He's been like, my mother, my father, my brother, everything, my entire life. And never referenced again. So wait, brought you up? So is he actually your brother, or is it like a surrogate thing? So you don't know who your parents were either. If Mario was your brother, he would say, "These are your parents." So what it is a parent. What if you have to piece together everything? Mario was an only child. His parents took in a foundling or something when he was an older child, and then they died, and he raised the foundling. But they had no idea who it was. Was it like some kind of Oliver Twist situation? Was John Leguizamo part of a gang of pickpockets roaming the streets of Brooklyn? Like, no, they never bring it up again. They never resolve it. I think it's a really clumsy way to work around the age difference. Leguizamo looks like he's 16 years old.
Yeah, he looks like a baby in this.
And Bob Hoskins is a very 50-ish man.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out. He's a very 50-ish man.
He's very 50-ish. And it also felt like such a yeah, it was like, I like when the early 90s, I don't think was great at a few things. One was like assuming there's a gap between like assuming your audience is smart enough to figure something out and not giving them enough information to figure something out. And like, this is a pretty important thing. And it also felt like it was a little bit shoehorned to create a point of relatability between the two of them. Like, that didn't necessarily need to exist.
What else could they possibly have in common? You know?
Yeah, it's a weird one.
We know why he likes her. She's gorgeous. But we don't understand why an NYU student who's into archaeology would give a plumber's apprentice, who's, let's be honest, pretty stupid, the time of day.
Except that she's trying to get away from two guys that are following her. Like, that was my big thing, is like...
But she had never spotted them until the moment she looks back at the... It wasn't like she thought she was being followed this whole time and then knew who was following her and looked back at the car. They just made her look back at the car. They hadn't, like, she didn't know she's being followed. I think she may have thought those guys were being sent there by Scapelli.
Probably. And if you see a guy with like an upside down newspaper,
yeah,
you are like, let me get out of town. Yeah.
Safe bet. So they bonded over the fact that neither of them knew who their mom and dad was. So Mario nudges Daniela, who's like, "So what are you kids gonna do tonight, huh? Maybe me and Mario will take the van and you guys can, just hang out a little bit anyway." So they like, if you are not doing anything later, I would like to walk you home. So they go for a walk where both of them say, "Listen, obviously you hate me. So let's break it off right now." No, I was gonna say, like, if you hate me, then you could break it off too. Like, you guys are literally, if your eyes each said goo and goo, they would not be making more goo goo eyes at each other. So I'm sorry, like, it was just ridiculous to me. Like, oh, why did you? But anyway, I would like you to show me this dig site, and okay, let's go. And so to further the meet cute, I guess, they do a foot race back to the dig site, and like Luigi beats her to the first gate, which she then opens. This is I won. Yes, what you think? And then she takes off running again. He follows her. Oh, they're so cute. They're not 8.
Also, if you saw like a woman and a man running around in Brooklyn, you wouldn't be like, how cute. You would be like, call the cops.
At a closed construction site.
Yeah, not great. Not great.
So this is also where we see Iggy and Spike, who are trying to find the girl again since they lost her. But they see Mario, who they recognize from being with her earlier, take Daniela out of the van. They say, "Oh, there she is. That doesn't look like her." Yeah, of course it doesn't look like her. She's wearing a disguise. She's trying to fool us. So we're going to wait until Mario walks her to the front door. And while she's searching around in her giant purse for her keys, they kidnap her, and Mario doesn't see. This is where she takes Luigi. Daisy takes Luigi down into the sewers, which is where the dig. If the dig is in the sewers, then why is the dig site like so obviously on top with a bunch of tents and stuff, and like James forlornly lugging wheelbarrows of dirt around? Like, if the dig site is actually under the, like, she goes down there and there is fully exposed with nothing covering it, a huge intact dinosaur fossilized skeleton with opposable thumbs, which is an incredible scientific discovery. She's like, wow, yeah, opposable thumbs. Can you imagine?
On a dinosaur. A junior at NYU has discovered an entire dinosaur assembled with opposable thumbs. And they're like, we can't get you extra security.
We can't get you any extra funding. You have this woman, this 20-year-old woman who's a junior at NYU in the archaeology department, has just completely demolished the known fossil record. Dinosaurs with opposable thumbs is a huge discovery
in New York City.
We can't get you any funding. I'm really sorry. So when they're in there looking at this dinosaur with opposable thumbs, there's an explosion of water, and two guys wearing Scapelli's plumbing jumpsuits run out of this side tunnel and run away. And they're trying to sabotage the dig site by flooding it, I guess, because then they won't want to dig anymore and they'll be able to build their condos. Yeah. I guess. It's Scapelli. He's trying to sabotage us. Scapelli, I also don't like that person. We have this also in common. So they go in there and they look around, and there's so it's a bunch of valves with big handles on them that have been turned to open, and then you could also turn them to close. I never went to plumbing college, but I would say there's a bunch of valves with handles. First thing I'd do is try and close them off. He says, well, you're going to fix it? You're a plumber, aren't you? And he goes, oh, yeah. Well, I don't know exactly what to do, but come on. And so they sprint, I guess, 24 blocks to Mario's place and knock on the door, and they're sopping wet still after the long run. And he goes, Mario, it's the Scapellis. They're trying to sabotage your dig site. And Mario, who is in his underpants, goes, come on, let's go. And they go back to the thing, and it's still been flooding. Now you would expect for at least 45 minutes.
Yeah.
From the time it would take for them to run all the way back to his house, him to get dressed, him to put get in the car, to drive all the way back here, walk through the thing, go down to the 45 minutes. There's been no measurable raise in the water level anywhere in the entire place. Of course not. No. Why would there be? But he gets in there and goes, I will fix this. Like, he's your apprentice. You should have taught him how to do the. You should have taught him how to do that part.
Just a citizen of the world, would have thought that might be the first thing.
That would be the first thing I would try.
Before I was like, let me go get this guy. Let me try just to at least stop the bleeding by doing.
Yeah. So this is where we established that Mario is a plumber and Luigi sucks.
Correct.
As a plumber. But Iggy and Spike have followed them down there and bonk Mario and Luigi on the head and take Daisy. And smash cut to Mario and Luigi waking up from being unconscious, but apparently have been unconscious for 12 seconds because you can still hear Daisy's screams echoing through the subway tunnel. And they follow her screams to this area where it looks like there's a chasm of water down below, about a 4-foot wide chasm, and there's a sheer face of rock, except it's not sheer face of rock because it's like watery because Daisy's face pushes through it. Help me, Luigi, and then pulls back, and then Luigi just jumps through there, and Mario's like, "What are you doing? You're gonna die!" And she just jumps, and then he jumps after her, after them, and they wind up in another dimension. If you're wondering when it's going to become a Mario movie, the answer is not yet.
No, and this was all set up to get into the movie. We're 50 minutes into recording this. This was all set up. I will say this, not to sound cold or pessimistic. Love makes you an idiot. They've known each other for like a day, and he's like, "I will jump into a different dimension to try and save you." Heroic, sure. Dumb, bigger. So yeah, call the cops. Nobody calls the cops in any of the movies that we watch.
No, they don't. So they are in a weird version of Dinosaur Manhattan, because like Luigi and Mario say, "I ain't been to Manhattan in a few months. Boy, it sure has changed." But I'm bum.
That was like kind of cute, and the visual of this, what do you like, post grunge punk cyberpunk kind of, is really, really cool. Like they do a really, really good job of the visuals in this are pretty neat. Like I really appreciated that. It is definitely feels like a different dimension, to their credit. There were some Easter eggs in it that I didn't know that I looked up, which was like Bullet Bill and Boom Boom Bar. I guess like Bullet Bill and Boom Boom are, I guess, enemies in the
Bomb.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Little autocorrect of notes, but that was cute. Like that they included things like that.
Yeah,
this is not a Mario film, but I did appreciate, especially for the time it was created in. Like this was before we kind of had like a really big special effects era. This was visually very, very cool.
Yeah. This is where we start to find out like they do a lot of, I mean, the movie's made for kids and kids don't understand anything, so they do the exposition of 65 million years ago, a meteorite split this world into two dimensions, and we got to get back up. We got to merge the dimensions so that we can go over and kill all the humans and take over the good half of the dimension. And they tell that to us no fewer than a dozen times in the movie.
Right. Pangea was actually dimensions, not
right.
Anything.
Right. So Mario and Luigi are there, and they can see Daisy being bundled off and put in a taxi cab. She's screaming, "Help! Help!" Nobody there gives a damn. Nope.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. So Iggy and Spike are able to kidnap the princess. This is the other thing that we've been told is like we brought the wrong one to the King Koopa again, and he's going to kill us if we do it wrong again. So
is King Koopa Bowser?
Yes.
Okay.
But they never call him that in this movie.
No. I tried to look up like who some people were. Some of them were good, some of them were misses. Like Big Bertha was a weird one.
Yeah, Big Bertha's a fish.
Yeah, Big Bertha's a fish, so they just made her.
Big Bertha's a fish, and she's not a fish in the movie.
No, she's not.
No. So
a guy named Toad, but we'll get there.
No. So they're very dejected by the fact that Daisy's been taken away from them, and they don't know where they are, and everything's so weird and everything, and Daisy, this is where Dennis Hopper does this weird thing where he puts his hands in like lavender candle wax and then just walks around with them. Like, I don't know what the point of it was. Like,
that's like a thing they do at nail salons, but it doesn't make any sense here.
Yeah, it was like, because he's supposed to be a germaphobe or something. I don't know. So anyway, Iggy and Spike show up, and she dropped her necklace at some point, and Luigi picked it up, I think. And while they're walking around trying to figure out what the hell to do, how does Big Bertha get it? Like, does Luigi drop it or something, and she picks it up? I don't know. Big Bertha gets
wasn't
it.
Kind of like just, I feel like pretty aggressive in their conversation, and I think it falls down. Like she's like very confrontational with him, and then it falls, and she picks it up.
Yeah, that might be it. Also, that like they get confronted by a grandma who's got a gun. Hey boys, you look like you're from around here. Like, no, we're not. All right, then give me all your stuff. And she pulls out a giant gun.
They get mugged.
They get mugged by an old grandma. There's another thing where there's a woman who's pushing a stroller with a big egg in it, and some guy tries to grab the egg. Says, "Get away from my baby!" And Mario is very, very weirded out by this. The nun's not, but
of course
Mario
not.
weirded out by babies who were eggs. So Big Bertha, she's not Big Fish. She is a very large black woman wearing a red spiky dress. That's it.
The evolutions are very inconsistent and sporadic.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's got the meteorite piece, the Rock, as they call it. It's not Dwayne Johnson. It's not
disappointingly
Alcatraz.
It's not. Yeah.
It's the Rock, but Dennis Hopper needs the Rock so he could. That's the thing. It's a shard that broke off the meteorite. You have to put the meteorite back together to make it go. But only Princess Daisy, for some reason, they never tell us why. Only Princess Daisy can put the shard of the meteorite in the meteorite and not die. Okay. Dennis Hopper, King Koopa, aka Bowser, though he's never referred to that in the film, has a consort, an advisor, a lady who follows him around, who's got the hots for him, but who he doesn't have the time of day for. Her name is Lena. There is no analog for her in the games. She does not. There's nothing. There's nothing there. There's not. I don't know how, like, what her function is, other than to like follow him around and like vaguely want to be his wife, though he doesn't seem to have a taste for that. So I don't understand what her whole purpose is.
It was weird that she was like pretty, I want to say like prominently featured, because she doesn't feel like super important, but she's on screen a lot, and it was
a lot.
It's like kind of the only one who I don't feel like had a place in the game that was in the, like everybody else feels like they evolved from something in the game that is this prominently featured. She just wasn't anybody that was in the game that I knew or looked up.
She's played by the British actress Fiona Shaw, who I did not realize at the time. In 2001, while studying abroad in London, I saw her play Medea from the Greek tragedy of the same name, which is where the woman, Medea, kills her two small boys as an act of revenge against her philandering husband. It is a harrowing piece, and to this day remains the greatest performance on stage that I have ever seen. And at the time in 2001, when I saw it, I had no idea that she also played Lena in the Super Mario Brothers movie. Like,
what range?
God,
from Dinotopia to Medea.
It's one of those things that, like, if I live to be 100, I will remember how they staged the murder of those boys. It's burned into my brain. They had a sliding glass frosted door that led to like the kids' play area, right? And so that was being used throughout the whole thing. And so we just knew that was there, and that was already been established as an area where the kids would go or whatever. And they would go in there and they close the door, and then she would have a conversation with her husband about how their marriage was falling apart or whatever, but they were always there. So they go in there at the end when it's time for her to kill them. They go in there and they have gradually turned the sound of this very, very, very ominous white noise that goes from nothing to deafening over the course of about 5 minutes. So imperceptible each time you don't realize the decibel levels have gone up in your head. And so at the time of the thing, you can't hear anything. And so they're in there, and she goes to the kitchen out of the butcher's block and gets the biggest knife. And she walks in, she opens the door, walks in, shuts it behind her, and there's just an arterial spray of blood across the frosted glass. And everything, that crazy sound goes silent for 45 seconds. And then she comes out, covered in the blood of her sons, closes the door behind her, walks over to the sink, washes the blood off the knife, puts it back in the butcher's block, and stands there. This is all happening in silence. And then her husband walks in. It's just some of the brilliant stuff, and she's so good in this whole play. And so now today, when I'm looking at this, like, where do I know that actress from? Let me look up her name, and that's Fiona Shaw, whose the name is burned in my brain from watching that performance now 22 years ago. But 8 years before she did that thing, and she won all kinds of awards for it, like British Tonys and stuff over there. But 8 years before that, she was like, I'm the wacky dinosaur king's best friend.
I was going to say, imagine everything you just said being the second most artistic performance in your career. Because clearly...
That's true. It's true.
Clearly.
God damn, I'll never forget it. Anyway, it's so funny to me that person also did this. Talk about a glow up. Anyway, she has no function in the film, other than to be jealous of what she perceives is, which is true, honestly, of Dennis Hopper wanting to have sex with the princess. That's it.
Pretty much it. Yeah. She doesn't really... Yeah. She's on screen a lot, and it's just... We see that trope a lot, too, in a lot of the movies we've watched, just in general, of, like, assistant who wants guy that is either married or doesn't give the time of day to or whatever. Like, yeah.
Anyway, we see that Mario, that Iggy and Spike say the plumbers took it. The plumbers took the rock. We got to find the plumbers. We know they followed us here. The plumbers, they're somewhere in Manhattan town, in Dinohattan or whatever they call it. So we'll have to find them. So the APB goes out to all the cops to look for plumbers. So they're sitting there dejected, and some street performer, hey guys, buck up, could be worse, starts playing a little jazzy folk tune about how much King Koopa sucks, and is immediately arrested for singing anti-Koopa songs. You can't arrest the guy for just singing a song. For anti-Koopa songs, we can. Hey, wait. And he notices they're wearing plumber's tools around their belts. Are you guys plumbers? Yeah, we're plumbers. You're under arrest too. You can't arrest me just for being a plumber. So they're under arrest for being plumbers.
Yep. And
if they hadn't been hanging around that particular guy who was being arrested, they may not have ever been arrested. But they were. Also, this guy, who is the folk singer, who's arrested for singing anti-Koopa stuff, his name is Toad. He's Toad.
That's it.
He's Toad.
It should have been like full-on punk to at least like made it like a punk. Like if punk was born out of rebelling against the queen, you could have done a very easy, like, these songs are protest songs against the king, and you're in this cyberpunk underground.
I will tell you that he doesn't look like this.
No, not even close. He's not wearing.
This is Toad. Anyone who
Toad.
plays the games knows that this is Toad.
Sure.
The movie does not feature him looking anything like this. They could have, like, his head is shaved into like a spiral on top of his head. They could have easily had him shave like so that there were patches of circles of hair to like look like at least like that.
dyed red. Yeah.
Dyed red. They could have at least done that, but they were like, no, we're just going to call him Toad, but then have him not at all resemble the thing that he's supposed to be made after.
Leather jacket dude, right? Like he was just leather jacket, gelled hair, I think. Like this was not wearing like all black and jeans or whatever.
Yep.
It was not. No.
Anyway, they're taken to processing where we find out their names are their last name is Mario and Mario's first name is Mario.
Right, Mario,
and Luigi Mario.
And what the hell is going on in the background of the scene?
I don't know, man. Some crazy stuff is happening in the background of the scene. I don't know why. So weird.
I think it actually could have been a more fun scene in the movie if I wasn't so distracted by whatever was happening behind him.
Perhaps, but
like the way he says your name is Mario,
their names are the Super Mario Brothers. So somebody was like, but they're not brothers specifically. But also my name is Mario. Like not everything has to be taken so literally. With like the Mario Brothers.
Thing you take literally in the film. There's no other real references to Super Mario in this.
No. The Mario Brothers. They're Mario Brothers plumbing. I don't know what. Anyway, I don't think they need to have last names. Mario is just so dumb. Anyway, they're taken to holding where they find out from Toad in holding that that Koopa is in charge now and he's evil and he usurped the throne from the good king of the Mushroom Kingdom, but I believe he's been de-evolved into all the fungus that you see all over the place, which sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory, cue scripts, but it's not. It's apparently true. Also, he's like, so 65 million years ago, a meteorite struck Brooklyn and split the world into two dimensions. And we have to this is exposition given to them by a street busker who sings anti-Koopa songs, but he has given them all of the scientific exposition for what is going on. Mario and Luigi need to know this, but it is a very odd thing. Like, we know it. We've already been told it 15 times, but they need to know it. But it's so odd that the vessel that the film gives is this guy, but not this guy, to tell them like the history of the. And my idea is like, if this is true, how do you guys know about it? Why wouldn't we also know about it? How do you know about the dimensions thing? That part's never covered.
No.
So no.
There's also, it bugs me that because meteorites are like an actual thing, but there's also like in this meteorite, there's like a otherworldly magical component to it. If you're going to give me a device that is something that like actually exists and also like this woman is the only one that can put it back together stuff, like you need to make that even more clear, because now I'm not just like bought into this wacky thing. I'm also bought into a real thing, and you're telling me there's supernatural rules around that real thing, which makes it actually worse than if you had just said this supernatural thing, because it's actually tangible and it's something I know and understand in the real world. Like,
right. So Mario and Luigi want a lawyer, and so the guy who's police captain, who's like a recurring character in this film, who's like Koopa's head of security, but just looks like a regular beat cop. He's wearing, which is odd. Like, you have two separate dimensions, but you both evolved to give cops the same uniforms. That is a crazy coincidence. But they have a lawyer, and they go into the little room where you meet with your lawyer, and it's King Koopa. This is such an odd thing to do in a movie. We, the audience, know it's Koopa, so there's no big surprise value when he reveals himself. Mario and Luigi don't know it's Koopa. So there's some kind of subterfuge he's trying to use to get something out of this, right? But he drops the subterfuge in about 45 seconds. He's like, "Hello, my name is Lazard from the firm of Lazard, Kondo, Tactile, and Cohen." The Cohen thing is a wonderful little all lawyers are Jews joke that they decided to throw into 1993. But so he says, I'll be your representation. But he says, we got to meet this. Who's this Koopa goofball, this Koopa clown? We got to meet with this guy. Like, I don't think you want to do that, because this Koopa clown, as you so put it, is a very evil egg sucking snake or whatever. But what we need to do is we need if I'm going to get you off, and to get you out of here, we're going to have to produce the meteorite piece. And Luigi goes, "What meteorite piece?" Because he only knows it as the necklace that,
of course,
that Daisy was wearing. That's all he knows it as. Doesn't know exactly what it is, because she doesn't. But he knows it's her necklace. So he says, "You have to produce the meteorite piece." And he goes, "What meteorite piece?" This is, again, he's met them 45 seconds ago. And he doesn't say, it's the necklace that you got from Daisy, to like try and jog his memory. He stands up from his chair, walks around the table, and tries to use his thumbs to pull out the eyes of Luigi. This is not good subterfuge.
No.
If you tell a guy, you give me the thing, and he says, you're gonna need to give me more information about the thing you need, and your response is not to try and tell him about it in another way, but instead to try and murder him with your bare hands. There is no reason for you to have done the subterfuge. The cop could have just brought them in from holding into this room with you and said, "I'm King Koopa, give me the thing." Why were you pretending to be their lawyer in the first place?
It makes absolutely no sense. And it doesn't help you produce the thing that you need. Like, that's just the weirdest part to me, I guess. Is like, why did you, to your point, do the clever trickery if you were just gonna do this to him anyway?
He went to the trouble of coming up with a fake law firm name. Like, why would you do all of that?
Just to end up here, yeah.
Just to end up back where you could have been if you just said, "I'm King Koopa. If you don't give me the meteorite piece, I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
Just do that. It would have saved us all a bunch of time. Well, 45 seconds, honestly. So maybe not that much time.
This movie was not interested in saving time through efficient storytelling.
It was far too long. An hour and 20 minutes tops for this movie. It was an hour 45, but it felt like 2:45.
Because the first 40 minutes of it are set up.
I know. He says, "Bring him to the Devo chamber," and this is where we find out they've created a ray which devolves things.
Yeah, a de-evolution chamber, right?
Yeah, right. So he explains that to Mario and Luigi while testing it on Toad. Okay, again, not this guy, but like a human being. But now they put him in a uniform. Like, oops, they put him like I don't know, uniform, but they send him in this thing. Like, "You can't do this to me, Koopa." And they send him back, and what it does is it's a devolution chamber, and so it puts him in a chair, and then drops a thing over his head, like a little chamber thing, and then that will devolve him, right? And so when he comes out,
and by devolving, you're making people more loyal and stupid and whatever. Like, that was part of this, was like an enhance
the most important thing game. To create an army of things that will never talk back to you. You have to devolve them into Goombas. Now, in this movie, Goombas are 8 feet tall, with tiny little heads. Right? In the game, this is a Goomba. This was the thing that confounded my 8-year-old brother the most. He was like, "That's not a Goomba, Dad. That's not a Goomba. Why do they keep calling them Goombas? Those aren't Goombas, Dad." It confounds me to this day. This is a Goomba. You know?
And that actually looks more like a little army that you would be creating. You would not create an army of things that are bigger than yourself. Is like a pretty good general principle.
I still think there was an awesome opportunity for them to have done a thing where one of the Goombas gets like knocked over, and we realize that actually the head is just this guy's body.
Oh,
and the rest of that thing is all like a big like cybernetic suit that walks around.
Whatever.
Like yeah, exactly. This thing is on top, operating it with its brain power, but it's like in little tiny like. That might have been fun, but no, they had no interest in fun in this thing. So yeah, that's what a Goomba
reference
is.
to the game that they named this movie after.
It's weird. That's also true. Fun Paramount. Loyal to the game secondary. Neither thing is what they went for. So,
yeah, real weird. Weird.
So they threatened to do this same thing to. There's no security in the room with them, by the way.
No.
There's like one guy who's operating the Devo chamber, and there's Koopa, and then there's like one guard. So Mario decks the guard. They shove Koopa into the little chair, and then push him back into the thing, so the thing comes down over his head. Luigi runs over and punches the scientist. Like he just runs over and kind of like just throws his torso kind of into him slightly, and the guy falls over unconscious. It's a really bad punch. It looks only slightly better than Logan Paul's punches.
I was just gonna say
slightly better. Only slightly better. And so they able to put him in the Devo chamber for like a split second before some other cops run in and he gets pulled out of it. But we see that like his eyes turn from regular eyes to like weird slits. And later we'll see like more manifestations of that devolving, but only briefly. I was like, oh, this is the time where we see him. I remember even as a kid, I was like, oh, so now he's going to start looking like Bowser.
Right.
I was also like, why does he look like that? That's not who Bowser looks like. I don't understand why he looks like that. Oh, now he will. No.
I also thought at this point we were way closer to the end of the film than we were.
Yeah, no, not at all. They're able to run away from all the cops and the Goombas, because cops and Goombas are different things. I don't know why all the cops aren't Goombas, but like there's like a force of regular cops, and then a bunch of Goombas, and they serve the same purpose.
They do, but aren't the cops just not yet devolved?
But why wouldn't they be yet?
Devolved cops,
I thought the Goombas were all devolved political prisoners. I thought that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know?
That's weird.
Whatever. So they want to devolve Mario and Luigi into monkeys, because obviously they wouldn't be those kind of Goombas. They'd be monkey Goombas. I'm kind of honestly upset we never got to see a monkey Goomba.
Yeah, that would have been really fun.
We got to see a monkey at one point later in the movie. Spoiler alert. But we did not get to see a monkey Goomba, which might have been fun. They're able to somehow get to the police garage and hijack a police car. How do you know how to turn all these things on? Says Mario. From sitting on my butt playing video games all day. That's how. And he just literally goes lever, button. I know how to play video games, which is also a sign that the people who made this movie never played video games one day in their life.
Also, maybe not like a great message to throw into this movie.
Yeah. Mario and Luigi steal a cop car and lead the police on a high-speed chase throughout the streets of Dinohattan into a tunnel. And they come out the other side of the tunnel because there are no brakes on the vehicle. I don't know if the brakes got cut, if the brakes stopped working during the thing, or if there never were any brakes on the car. It seems like a weird thing to not include, but anyway, there are no brakes, and so Mario is not able to stop the car before it goes to there's an unfinished tunnel. That's what it is, and it spits them out at the end of the tunnel, and they're all wrapped up in all the fungus that was on all the walls of the tunnel, which, remember, the fungus we think may be the actual de-evolved body of the former king of Mushroom Land, and then it because it's all wrapped up in it, and this fungus is all kind of stringy and boogery. It's able to like bungee jump the car at the end so it doesn't crash, and they're able to get out of the car. Luigi is convinced that the fungus is helping them. Mario, who is much more grounded, thinks that is ridiculous. And so they jump out of the vehicle, and they are now in the desert, the Kupahari Desert, and that's it. There's no, like, this was their big plan. There's no way to get back. They don't have any. This is it. So now we're away from our heroes for a while, which is when we get the exposition now given to given to Daisy by King Koopa, that she evolved from dinosaurs, and that her mother took her. So this is where Lena is sent to go get the princess and bring him to her, have her cleaned up first or whatever. And Lena's hates this. She hates that she's in this movie. And so retroactively, I'm sure she does. But she has to go in and find her among all the other girls from Brooklyn, one of whom, of course, is Daniela. There's never a scene. They don't give us the scene where Samantha Mathis is thrown into a little prison room where they keep all the girls and goes, "Oh, hey, I know you. I met you once at dinner." And they've apparently, by the time that Lena comes to get her, all the girls from Brooklyn have all bonded. They all know each other's names. They're best of friends now.
Total.
Daisy, no, don't take Daisy. We love Daisy. We met her 4 hours ago. We love Daisy. And so they take Daisy away from all this thing. And this is where Lena tells her that your mother stole you and took you to the other side to leave you there right after King Koopa took over. And your father, like, what about? And then she died. She says, no explanation of how.
Nope.
And then she died. What about my father? Is he alive? Well, it depends on what you mean by living. Another clue is that he might be the fungus. So then we meet Yoshi. I did not upload a picture of Yoshi from the video game. Yoshi is a very cartoonish green dinosaur with a saddle on his back, because in the video games, Mario and Luigi ride him. He has a long prehensile tongue, which will shoot out and grab your foes and then bring them back into his mouth, where he eats them and then poops out a little coin. That's what Yoshi is in the video games. In this one, he is a baby velociraptor, which is really funny because this movie came out 2 weeks before Jurassic Park. I wonder if somebody, because there was a lot of like espionage and shit going on in Hollywood in the 80s and 90s. Like, I wonder if somebody saw the designs of the velociraptors from they were working on for Jurassic Park and stole it and said, these are going to be a big hit. Let's make Yoshi, which comes out 2 weeks before Jurassic Park, look like a baby version of those. Like, really cute and totally like it wouldn't rip your throat out. It can still be a clever girl, but like clever in a cute way.
Yeah.
And so yes, Yoshi is there and has a little chain around its neck. It's like, I guess we're both prisoners here, huh? Oh, that's too bad. And then so that's that we find out there's a Yoshi. It exists. It's a pet being kept by Koopa. Koopa puts the moves on Daisy. He does a little Gene Simmons thing with his tongue, but it's like really long and lizardy. And she's like, ew, haven't you ever wanted to kiss a dinosaur? Because all bad guys are rapists. And so he's angry about something. The plumbers escaped or whatever. So he's decided now he's going to he's going to make Iggy and Spike. He's going to kill them. Oh, no, but he's not going to kill them. He's actually going to not de-evolve them, but e-evolve them even more to make them advanced. And Spike is put in the machine first. And Iggy is like, Spike, too bad. I think it's a really good idea, cousin. I think he's going to look great as a Goomba. Because, oh, by the way, Spike and Iggy are cousins of Goombas. Spike and Iggy are based on two of Koopa's Bowser's kids in the game.
Okay.
Like he has kids.
I was like looking for it and couldn't really find it.
But Iggy is definitely one of the kids. Spike is a different character. I don't know why they just didn't make them both. Because there's Iggy, Larry, Morton Koopa Jr., Roy, Ludwig von Koopa, which you can tell from the hair. And then there's one girl. Her name is Wendy O. Koopa. And
just like all over the place with the names too of like Roy and like Iggy. Roy. I was thinking like, oh, we're in the cyberpunk thing, like Iggy Pop, right?
Yeah.
And then like Morton, and it's like a grandpa name, and then Wendy is just like kind of a normal.
Yep. Anyway, so here's how you evolve somebody, in case you didn't know. You just increase their vocabulary. That's the only thing that is the only sign that somebody's been evolved is that. Because I won't say the only thing they do is increase their vocabulary. They try and tell you that they've become math whizzes. Because as soon as Spike gets out, he says, "Hello, Iggy. Do you know what the square root of 26,481 is?" And Iggy's like, "What are you talking about?" 191. That's what he says.
My God, even if you're good at math, like, why are you flexing that hard? Like, this is the first thing you're going to say to someone.
Also,
annoying.
191 isn't the square root of 26,481. If you were going to put that in a script to prove how smart somebody is,
make sure it's right.
Why wouldn't you pick a random number and then use a calculator? The square root of 26,481 is like 168.
That was like, Alex, you didn't even need a TI-83 plus for that. There's just
I looked it up before. I want to make sure I'm doing it right. What's it? Wait, 26,481. I don't have. Where's my square root button on this? Oh, I don't have it on my phone. I did it on my other calculator that I found. Anyway, it's definitely not 191. So he sends them out into the desert to go find the Marios and get the piece of rock, because now they're smart, they won't screw up. So he sends them out in the desert, and immediately they screw up. They crash their vehicle off the end of a cliff, and the Marios capture them in the desert.
Also begs the question, if they screwed up that many times, why didn't they over-evolve them earlier? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Maybe the movie didn't know it was an option until right now. Maybe the movie was too
but
stupid.
If it happened like 8 times, you think you'd take a whack at it?
You'd think. But anyway, the Marios are out. They're walking around the desert. Luigi is shirtless, and Mario is still wearing not only his shirt but a jacket over it. Is it hot or is it cold out? Because as a larger fella myself, you get hotter faster than the skinny boys. Because so at least he should, even if you don't want to have Bob Hoskins shirtless, which I get, maybe just have him take off the jacket. I don't know why, but anyway, he says that the
desert's like a notoriously hot climate until nighttime, so you should be consistent.
He does a really funny thing. He says, "Oh, that's a good place over there. That looks good. Let's die there." I thought that was a really cute line. They just happen to be watching and see off a cliff Iggy and Spike crash their vehicle. They're fine, by the way, because they are then tied up with Luigi's belt or something, while there's little tiny dinosaurs nibbling at some garbage. And so they come to an agreement. All that we want is Daisy. All that you want, you say, is the necklace. The necklace we've established it was stolen by Big Bertha, and so she is the bouncer at the Boom Boom Bar. So we will take you back into the city, into the Boom Boom Bar. You get the necklace, and then we will take you to Daisy, and then we'll each have what we want. And it's been a wonderful compromise. So they are able to hijack a sludge gulper, which is a trash, like a what do you call it? A garbage truck. That is, it's called a sludge gulper. They're able to hijack it because two men dressed as gimps are very dumb and get thwarted by a plunger in the face and a wrench to the back of the head because plumbers.
Okay.
And so then they sneak into they go into the Boom Boom Bar, and they walk in, and they're wearing bright yellow and bright red suits. And Luigi says, for some reason, isn't this a little effeminate? It's a men's suit you're wearing. How is it effeminate? And it says, actually, it did belong to my ex-wife, says Iggy, which is a weird thing. We sometimes we do dress up to go on dates. And Mario, who's wearing the yellow suit, says, "Who are you dating? A canary?" Which that's not how jokes work. Like, what is that? I don't know. What is that? Like, because if you wear a yellow suit, canaries will like you more? What? Anyway, they immediately spot Big Bertha as Iggy and Spike go over to the bar and start raising a shot glass to the downfall of King Koopa loudly while everybody can hear you in a world where saying bad things about King Koopa means you get arrested. So they're not very smart. They were supposed to be smart and they're not smart. So they find Big Bertha, and Mario's like, "Hey, watch this, kid. No woman can resist the charm of a Mario." And he goes over and hits on her, and she punches him in the face. And then he tries it again. He's like, "I sure did love how you punched me in the face before. Would you do that again?" And she's like, "Dance with me and I'll punch you all you want." But the coat check girl, they didn't check their coats. They checked their plumber's bags. And there was a big wanted poster for them. Plumbers wanted reward. And so she rats them out. So the cops all show up after Mario while dancing with Big Bertha in a very sexual way. Like, he dips her. She has very ample cleavage, and he just puts his whole mustachioed face right into her cleavage to try and, with his teeth, bring the rock out. That's one thing. Then they grind for a while.
It's like super uncomfortable considering the start with a punch in the face too.
Well, Mario in this movie was the very originator of the whole "step on my neck" thing. That
I guess so.
Get on women, please, will you step on my neck or punch me in the face? The whole everything Rhea Ripley gets from people online, it was originated with Super Mario talking about Big Bertha. So he's able to sneak it away from her, the necklace, and then run away. But then the cops show up, and so they're like, "Here come a bunch of Goombas, right?" And so Mario and Luigi get down, like, "Hey, all right, so here's the plan." Like, they're huddling up. And then he just says 3 random football terms. Fake right, button hook, and then something else I forget. Set, hut. And there's no indication that either of these men has ever played football before in their lives.
No.
But because they happen to be men, they know this is a thing that they do. They do football stuff.
Football, just generic terms.
Mm-hmm.
Delightful.
They are able to outfox the Goombas because the Goombas don't have brains, and they're running away. And Big Bertha stops them, and then shoves them into the check girls, hat check girls closet, where the Goombas run past. And they get their tools back, and they're like, she kisses Mario.
It's so weird.
And here, take the stompers. Stompers are big boots that make you jump high. In Mario, you jump a lot. They designed these big, giant things with like hydraulics in them and whatever. This is an alternate dimension. You could have the idea that shoes in this dimension make you jump high, as opposed to wear these ridiculous, huge things that go from your feet to like your mid-calf and are made out of solid steel and require you to put a cartridge in them for them to work. Like, it's so... It doesn't need to be so odd the way they had to make this into a weird, like, steampunk version of Mario. I don't understand why this is a thing, but they're able to
and
jump.
Again, like, the cherry picking of what was in the game into what is in the movie is so inconsistent and weird.
Yeah, they jump through the ceiling, through the window in the ceiling, and
as
they
one
jump,
does with their
and then
hydraulic Ace Frehley boots.
They are on. There's a lot of little bridgeways over highways in this game, in this movie, and they jump off of one because they're cornered by Goombas and cops. So they jump off of one. They go, "Oh, cops, Goombas, sludge gerper, jump!" And that's actual words they say, and they jump into the back of a trash can. Oh no, the tower. They point at the tower. Cops, Goombas, the tower, sludge gerper, jump, and they do. And they jump into the back of a trash truck, which they assume, and turns out to be true, will just take them straight to the tower. Because they say, "What a way to go to Koopa's tower." Yeah, I just don't know how we're going to get inside once we get there. So that they just know this is going there to this place. And he says, I got 2 words for you. Impossible. Get it? Because impossible is only 1 word. That's the way. Let's say to the jokes in this thing. They are able to somehow sneak into the basement. I don't even think he ever shows us how. They sneak into the basement of this place where there's all the pipes and stuff.
Right.
Plumbers. So like, hey, plumbers. Yeah, we're plumbers. These are pipes. So this is the heating ducts. So they shut down all the heat to freeze the place. This is only done so that there is a reason for them to do a bobsledding on a mattress bit 20 minutes from now. That's the only reason they don't like. This is our big plan. Our big plan that we must do is to shut down all the things to make them freeze to death. But nobody except for the girls who are being held prisoner ever gets cold. Koopa never gets cold. Nobody else in this thing gets cold. This is Mario's big plan, is to freeze them out, but it actually doesn't do anything except for makes the pipes that are very, very big, by the way, too big for pipes, freeze over so that later they can do a bobsled bit on a mattress. Like this is here's what's wrong. The big thing about this movie, and I saw a clip this week that reminded me of this little thing. Trey Parker and Matt Stone doing a screenwriting workshop where if you're writing a script, this happens.
Oh, I've seen it, yeah.
And therefore, this happens. And therefore, this happens. Because this happened. That's how you write a script. You can never do this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, because nobody cares. Because it's a sequence of events, not a story. A sequence of events is not a story. And that's what this movie has. It's a sequence of events. Not like it doesn't, nobody, we don't care. So like, we shut off the pipes, and then we went and put on costumes for no reason. They're wearing brightly colored suits, like with a suit jacket and a shirt or whatever. We got to get out of these clothes. So we got to find something that's going to help us blend in. So they break into a locker and pull out 2 jumpsuits. One of them is red and blue. One of them is green and blue. You know, like Mario and Luigi in the game. Do the jumpsuits help them ever? No. They're just iconic costumes. And then after we put on these iconic costumes that don't help us at all, and then let's get on an elevator. And then a bunch of Goombas get in the elevator. And then they hide behind them, but don't know what they're going to do to get out. And then Luigi makes them dance.
Yeah, this was the most chaotic, disjoint. Like, this whole movie felt chaotic and disjointed, but this whole series of events, considering this is essentially leading to the climax of everything, is so like, their grand plan had no plan, I guess, is the thing. Like, it just was like things happening, and to your point, there's no continuity between like actions and consequences to those actions or results from those actions. It's very weird. It's very weird. And like, again, references to the movie that don't come into play at all with the plots, and a plot that doesn't reference the movie in like the most crucial spots is just, This is where it never really came together, but it really starts to fall apart here.
Daisy, of course, also being held hostage. Bring me the princess again, so she can use the meteorite. Oh, by the way, they didn't get the meteorite back because they lost it again because the girlfriend, Lena, the brilliant Shakespearean actress Fiona Shaw, found the meteorite somewhere, so she has it, but she's not telling Koopa she has it because she's like, you and me together, we should go and try and get out of here and merge the worlds. Like, even if I had the meteorite, I need the princess, so she's the only one who could do it. I don't care about you until I have the princess. And says, well, then I guess I'll do it myself. And she's got the meteorite. She's going to go and she's going to do it. But she has to try and kill the princess first. So while she's trying to kill the princess, Yoshi uses his long prehensile tongue to grab her by the ankle and pull her toward him as the princess runs out of the thing. And then she takes the knife she was going to use to cut the throat of the princess and stabs a dinosaur with it. And then runs out so she can then she's like, I'm going to kill the princess while taking the rock so that I can leave. I'm going to kill the princess first because I don't like her because she took my man. And before then, I'm going to stab a dinosaur and I'm going to run away. All this is ridiculous. By the way, also, Toad Goomba, who we only know is the real Toad Goomba because he has a harmonica thing that was hanging around his neck when he was playing guitar. And for some reason, after he becomes a Goomba, the other Goomba puts it around his neck. So we always know harmonica Goomba is Toad.
Of course.
So stupid, but he is in love with Daisy as well.
Everyone's in love with Daisy. This really gets so like it started to lose the interest I had in it starts to get lost because it's like the idea that people in like the more magical dimension are just using like knives to kill people is weird. Like there's no clarity around like any of the rules that are operating. Like, we're in this other dimension where supernatural things exist, but it also exists with the meteorite, which is a real thing. I get that that's probably supposed to be like the linchpin, but like the fact that there's just like normal weapons in Weird World and like astro boots from the people that came over from the normal world, like this is just gets so impossible to follow in that regard.
Right. Mario and Luigi escape through the roof of the very large elevator while the Goombas are dancing, and then they jump into an elevator shaft, which there's a bunch of fungus there, so the fungus helps them. And Daisy escapes and goes into the chamber where her father, the old throne room, where her father, which is like the giant part of the fungus, is being held. I forgot there was an earlier inconsequential scene that only exists to introduce you to the giant fungus, where Dennis Hopper comes in and goes, "Hey, I see you're still hanging around, slime bucket. Anyway, the plumbers will be here with the rock I need. Plumbers who will be dead soon, by the way. Slime bucket." It's literally, there's no reason for this scene to exist except to introduce us to this thing. But Toad is able to help her escape. Iggy and Spike bring her to where her father is, and then leave, and we never see them again. They just vanish from the film. No one ever talks about what happened to them. Nope. There's actually a a end of credit scene before such things were ever a thing, so nobody knew to stick around in the theater to watch it. Where it's supposed to be a joke, where you see two Japanese businessmen standing in Mario and Luigi's apartment, looking over here. We don't see who they're talking to. We would like to create a video game based on your story. Swing the camera around, and it's Iggy and Spike. And that's the joke. But, like, nobody knew that it was even there, so nobody knew. Ridiculous.
It feels like with the first scene of the movie and the last you saying that, it feels like they knew they made a bad movie and tried to put in like those things to help and justify it.
I love reading plot synopses on Wikipedia because they have to skip over stuff when it happens, and then when it becomes necessary to include something about something, they'll have to like retroactively talk about the thing that happened before. So they go here. Mario and Luigi rescued Daisy, aided by Toad, a good-natured guitarist who was devolved into a Goomba, a semi-humanoid dinosaur, as punishment for a protest. Like, all of that is true, but it is told entirely out of order and in the wrong. Yeah, it's very funny. So we, this is where Mario says, how's Daniela? Says, Daisy to Mario. Oh, right, Daniela. I was supposed to take her to WrestleMania. I don't know what that means, but it's right there. It's right. I don't know what that means, but it's right there. They said it in that way. He goes and rescues Daniela. And they jump on a mattress and go on a bobsled ride, followed by a bunch of Goombas. And they come out at the end where Koopa's captured Daisy and Mario. And there's a fight. Somebody's bouncing around with boots, and somebody else has a devolving gun. And they lose the rock, which is captured by amazing Shakespearean actress Fiona Shaw. They lose it again. And because he had her arrested. It's a long story. Koopa had her arrested, and they brought the rock to him, and then he lost it again. Because he was holding it in his teeth, and Mario kicked him in the back. I don't know why he was holding the rock in his teeth, but it fell. Anyway.
Weird flex.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway, she tries to merge the worlds. So while Mario takes off his shoelace and holds the end of the shoelace in his hands with it sticking out, so it looks like he's holding the rock necklace. It's very odd. But anyway, the worlds merge. They says, "Hey, Daniela, go take all the girls back and tell the police that there's a different dimension." I guess so.
Which would go over very well in like the 70s, 80s.
To merge because Lena put the rock in the meteorite, but then she exploded because she couldn't fully do it without killing herself. So the worlds start to merge, right? But when they start to merge, only King Koopa and Mario go together.
Yeah,
they're the only two that leave. So, but they're there, and they show up at the dig site where Daniela is talking to a cop. Oh, see, the worlds are merging, as she points at the Twin Towers, which then dissolve, which was a really weird thing to think about in hindsight. But Scapelli is there. He's very angry. King Koopa doesn't like him, so he points the devolving gun at Scapelli and shoots him. And Scapelli shrinks into a chimpanzee. And instead of being horrified by this, everyone points at Scapelli Chimp and laughs. And I'm like, first of all, the nuns have nothing to say about the
anything. And
then there's also not only is a cop there, the entire NYPD is there. Also, a member of every local affiliate from every news station is there. Has a microphone literally in the face of Daniela as she goes, "Look, the Twin Towers, the worlds are merging. There's a microphone right there held by an unseen person. And everyone when Scapelli gets taken and made into a chimp, everyone goes, ha 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 ha, look, he's a chimp guy. And nobody cares. Like nobody thinks
nobody finds
weird.
anything weird.
This guy materialized out of nowhere. He particles came together and he stood there and he had a ray gun and he pointed it at a very well-known mafioso figure and he pulled the trigger and that mafioso figure became a chimp and everyone's like ha 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 and not ah, like there's a big difference. And so anyway, they're able to extract the meteorite piece so the worlds no longer merge. They de-emerge. And then there's another standoff where Mario gets the gun and shoots it at Koopa, who turns him into a big dinosaur and then shoots him again to turn him into the primordial ooze. And everyone celebrates because Mario's the hero. And they immediately start painting over the faces of Koopa everywhere. Everyone's so happy. And they're all going to go back to Brooklyn, except Daisy can't, because she's got to stick around. Oh, by the way, her father unde-evolved back into his regular self, and it's played by Lance Henriksen, who's an actual really well-known character actor. Look him up. And he says, oh, wow. He has one line, and that's it. I'm back. And that's it. So good for Lance Henriksen. Got that payday. But she says, I got to stay. I just till I find out what's going on and help make things right here. So Mario and Luigi leave her there. With the promise that maybe he'll see her again. And the next scene, Mario is in their tiny apartment making spaghetti for Daniela while Luigi watches his Unsolved Mysteries type show, which then does a story about them, and they're watching it. And it's really, hooray, this is so cool. But I don't know, did what happened make them rich? Because it doesn't look like it, and they're still 3 months behind on rent and can't afford food. None of what happened. None of what happened helped them make them money.
No,
it would be one thing if the entire time they were there, they were collecting gold coins, like in the game, and came back with pockets full of gold coins that they could then sell to then become rich. Like anybody who had played the game could have thought of that in 2 seconds, the way I did, and made everything work. But they didn't do that. So there's a knock at the door, and who comes in? But Daisy, carrying a de-evolved gun, and go, Daisy, what happened? Like, I need your help. What happened? You're never going to believe this. And then Mario takes his plumber's belt, like it's a Batman utility belt, and putting it on. Mario, what's going on? Oh, I believe. End of movie, with setup for obvious string of sequels that never got made because this movie lost a whole ton of money and nobody liked it.
Especially with Jurassic Park coming out 2 weeks later. There's no recovery for that.
No recovery for it whatsoever. Get the flick out.
This was not, get the flick so far out of here. This was not like our cleanest review, and it is so much clearer than actually sitting down watching the movie, having you recount what happened in this. It is so bad and confusing and turns itself on its head.
I had to watch it twice. I had to watch it twice just so I could figure out what the hell's going on.
And there weren't even fun callbacks to the. I feel like one of the most memorable things about Mario is the sounds. There were no, I don't know what rights, whatever, but we got none of that. We got there were not even cute little references. This was not a Super Mario Brothers movie. At the people who liked it outside of that were I think it's a fun sci-fi movie. I don't think I do. The visuals in this were pretty cool, and I think well done, especially for the time that they were in, but it's the same as our wrestling reviews. I'll buy into the world you're creating if you follow its own rules. I don't even know what the rules were. Never mind, were you following them? There's nothing.
There's a lot of extraneous bullshit. There's a Babam that is a wind-up toy that walks around, and at the very end we can see the bottom of its feet, and it's wearing Reeboks.
Yeah.
I don't know who's that for. What does that accomplish?
Even just like you said, we don't know why.
Get the flick out of here.
Like why the princess has to be the one, why Daisy has to be the one to
never explained.
Like it's never, especially because there's babies being born with eggs all the time. Like it's just it just is so. It's kind of like when you hear a band and you're like, you're just making noise for the sake of making noise. Like this was
also
just...
like if her father devolves into a fungus. She wasn't descended from dinosaurs. She was descended from fungus. Why would she birth out of an egg? Why wouldn't she be like created via spores
out of moss or something? Yeah, like
get the flick out of here.
So far.
Get the flick out of here.
So far.
We'll talk to you next week
when we'll be doing not this.
Not this.
RESPECT. Click the subscribe button and find out what it means to me. Nah, that doesn't have a ring to it. But if you like videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, subscribe now.